Hey, everybody, welcome to Game S Mornings, brought to you by MSI with me, Geoff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about another game you should probably add to your to-play list if we go by its excellent reviews. And sure, let's also start talking about the next Nintendo Direct already. It's going to be a good one because we have Britton Peele on the show. Britton, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Better now that I'm here. I'm on the other
glad
side
you're
of
back.
I'm on the other side of a long move. I had told Grubb, like, yeah, someday I'll be ready to record again, and that day has come.
Yeah, the move, like you guys kind of get it all mostly settled. You said you're not quite living out of boxes. Like, what's the status?
Yeah, mostly. We ended up selling our old home a lot faster than anticipated, and
Oh,
so
one of
that
those.
required a very quick, like, hey, Dad in Oklahoma, can we come live with you for like
Uh-huh.
6 weeks? Which is not something I recommend. I love my dad, but just
No,
not
we all get
not
it.
ideal.
Yeah, we all
So
fully understand.
yeah, the Switch 2 got us through a lot of stuff. It was, Donkey Kong came out while I was there. My 6-year-old loved it. So that kept him busy. That and Minecraft just kept us sane for a little while. So we're here. We're doing good. Happy to be home again.
Real quick, the order of operations when it comes to unpacking, getting the home set up. At what point do you feel comfortable, like setting up the games and then like actually sitting down and playing some? Because it's like, I could sit down and play this game, but there's 45 boxes right over there I should be dealing with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we were in a situation for a while where, like, so upstairs there's no couch still. So if I'm
Right.
playing games up there, I'm on the floor on a beanbag chair. So that's fun. And then downstairs is kind of a weird, like, TV situation as well. So honestly, the answer is, like, still hasn't
It's
really
still all on
happened.
the Switch. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been playing the Switch, on the couch or whatever a little bit. I did hook up the PS5 and Xbox, and like I played a little Yakuza because I had played Yakuza 0 on Switch 2 during the move craziness. I was like, I should check out the other Yakuza games because those are fun. But I've just been like dabbling with stuff. Haven't really sat down and got sunk my teeth into something meaty yet.
All right. Well, you got something to look forward to still once you get everything settled for sure. Let's explain what we do here and who we are. We're Giant Bomb. You can go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member, help us do what we do here. Your support goes a long way to ensuring we can continue to do cool things over here, including when we go to Summer Game Fest or get together or send Mike and Dan out to San Francisco to make fools of themselves. You guys make that all possible. As far as this show goes, this is, I've got to scroll down here. Yes, there we go. Most weekdays, I, Geoff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Shinobi. Art of Vengeance reviews are in, and it's doing very well. Britton, when I checked this morning, it was at an 89 on OpenCritic, which is very, very high. It's a very impressive tally to mark up for a new game. That it was helped by this 9 out of 10 from Stephen Tailby at Push Square, who said, Shinobi Art of Vengeance is hard to fault. We can take or leave the story. The platforming is occasionally frustrating, and levels can outstay their welcome sometimes, but that's basically it. This is otherwise a brilliant 2D action platformer that looks gorgeous and plays even better thanks to kinetic, satisfying combat that feels superb when you get in the flow. If this is any indicator of Sega's other upcoming franchise revivals, we're in for some good times ahead. Skeeth Roosh at Hardcore Gamer gave it a 4 out of 5 and said Shinobi Art of Vengeance is a fantastic experience from start to finish and a brilliant comeback for the classic franchise. The gameplay is stylish and will make players feel cool from start to finish. While it does suffer from a repetitive gameplay loop, players who want a 2D action game that brings out the best of modern and classic game design will not be disappointed. And then Jay Krishnan at GameFind gave it a 95 out of 100 and said that the game is a fully reimagined tribute to a beloved classic With its stunning visuals, satisfying combat, smooth controls, and thoughtful modern quality of life features, it's the complete package and might end up being one of my favorite games of the year. Britt and I played this at Summer Game Fest, and I really liked what I touched. Mike played quite a bit more than me. He was also super into it. And so like coming away from like, yeah, that's awesome. Is it going to be that or Ninja Gaiden when I get to these games? I think it's probably going to be both. Is where I'm at now. That I played Ragebound, really enjoyed that. Super happy to have this now. What do you think of these reviews, and how are you feeling about Shinobi Art of Vengeance?
Yeah, it is. I saw some people in chat talking about how it's really the year of the ninja.
Yep,
It does
Ninja
feel
Gaiden
that
4
way.
is coming up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a good feeling, I think. And of the two, I think this is the one that I'm probably more inclined to lean towards with, a bit more of that exploration and stuff. I have uh, kind of an interesting history with Shinobi series in that most of what I played is that PS2 game that was 3D,
Sure. Yeah.
which was fantastic, but it was not, very different than what this game is. So uh, I haven't played Ninja Gaiden yet because, with the move, I'm like, I don't want something like too difficult. I don't want something with rage in the title. Maybe I'd get enough of that building furniture.
Oh yeah.
Maybe if this lets me, explore a little bit of environments and things like that, which it sounds like it does. Sounds like it's at least decent at that. It's definitely something I'm interested in checking out.
Yeah, I am also right there with you, where it's like I am a relatively big fan of those older Shinobi games. Mostly played like Shinobi at my friend's house. That was my friend had the Genesis, I had the Super Nintendo. Over there, we played some Shinobi for sure. And then later on, I played like Shinobi for Game Gear, and that was really good. And then Mike was talking up Shinobi 3 for a while, so I tried that. It was like, yes, this does own. This is like it. I always knew these games were very cool. It's amazing how much of that style holds up over time. They're just very strong on that front. This game very much leans into that and nails it based on what I played again and according to these reviews. So I'm excited. I'm gonna check this out. And like I said, I really enjoyed Ragebound. Now I did enjoy the platforming in Ragebound, and a lot of complaints being like, yeah, the platforming's not quite so hot in Shinobi. It's like, yeah, that bums me out a little bit. But also, I don't. When I think back to Shinobi, it is kind of an action game, a run and sword action game. And I think as long as they nailed that side of things, that's the more important aspect of Shinobi. One other thing, though, that I didn't really think about until I read it here from Stephen Tailby's review. Uh, should we take this as an indication of where Sega might head with their other revivals of classic games? They have that big effort of we're bringing back Crazy Taxi and this game and that game and all, like there's like 5 or 6 games already announced. We've heard rumors of 3 or 4 more from their classic Genesis catalog and beyond. Uh, do you think that it's safe to be like, yeah, they're going for this level of quality for all those games?
It's not a crazy idea. I think it probably depends on the game, right? Like I could see bring back something like Shining Force, like hey, get a good small studio, get a really good art style on that, and it can be something that could shine in with a high level of polish, but like this level of game. Whereas I could see something even like Echo the Dolphin, where they want to take more like,
Yeah,
no, we're gonna make this photorealistic and be real serious about like maybe that's not the way they're gonna go with it.
sure.
But I think it's gonna vary game to game, which is probably the right approach. But it sounds like at least they have found a way to do it well, and hopefully they can repeat that success with the rest of their back catalog because there's people out there clamoring, I'm sure, for Golden Axe and all sorts of stuff that we could potentially see in really good revitalized forms.
Yeah, I think you're almost certainly right that it's going to be case by case, and every game's going to require a different, it's going to present a different set of problems for them to solve and figure out like what do we want to preserve here and what do we want to modernize. I guess I'll take it as a good sign that at least they are capable of this, right? Like there is a time when a company like Sega would be like, yeah, we're just going to fart these things out, and so what? At the very least, for this initial effort, or what feels like the initial effort of them bringing back some of these games. I know they're constantly bringing back old games, but this does feel like the start of that recent campaign of bringing back all these games you weren't expecting. It's a good start. It is a sign that they are capable of this, and 89 on OpenCritic is really nothing to sneeze at. We don't have to live or die by numbers, but that is a difficult thing to accomplish. And so, yeah, cool, very good start. All right, let's move to this next story. A new Nintendo Direct is reportedly planned for mid-September. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. A Nintendo Direct presentation is reportedly planned for September. Reports of a Nintendo Direct have circulated for weeks now. Switch Force has suggested that a presentation will be held in September. I believe they said September 12th is the date. Yes, that's where it says later here in the story. Sources have told VGC that a Nintendo Direct presentation is in fact planned for mid-September. It's also worth noting that aside from 2024, a Nintendo Direct has been held virtually every September since the Nintendo Direct presentations began. Was there really not one last year? I know there was a year where there wasn't one. I didn't realize it was just last year that didn't happen. While the contents of the presentation are currently unknown, it's likely that this Nintendo Direct will finally reveal the announcement of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond's release date. The game was just recently rated by the ESRB. Yeah, this is one of those where it's like we are all expecting this, although it's still like people are hearing about it separate from just looking back at it always happens in September, and VGC is able to get some of those details. What are you expecting? Are you excited, Britton? Are you ready for more games for your Switch? Like, they still have to kind of give us dates for a lot of their holiday releases.
Yeah, I was in a Nintendo call last week for dads. It was kind of a weird thing, and they were talking about some upcoming stuff. Like they mentioned Hyrule Warriors. They said the guy from Nintendo said this year. He didn't say this winter, which could mean anything. Take that with a huge grain of salt. But I know people have talked about like that might slip into or the next year, or whatever. So yeah, it feels like there are still a lot of unanswered things. I need to know when Metroid's coming out because that's my that's the big thing for me is this year. I need to get my hands on Metroid. At the same time, I've been pretty okay with some of the smaller stuff. I've been playing a lot of Tiny Bookshop, which Shadow dropped.
How is that?
During either the
I've been meaning to check that out.
Direct.
Yeah, it was the partner, or yeah, you're right, the Indie Direct, whatever it was, the Nintendo.
Yeah, and it's just a great, cozy little game where you sell books, and I'm having a blast.
It looks
with
really cute.
Yeah. So like I've been sated with some of this stuff. At the same time, like I'll sometimes remember like, oh, Hades 2 still isn't like actually out. I need that. And there's a lot of stuff that could drop in a Nintendo Direct that I'm really looking forward to. Also, the timing would be perfect for a trailer for the Super Mario World movie, and my son's going to want to watch that a million times, just the trailer alone, I'm sure. So
yeah, that's I never really think about it too much. Like when it comes to movies, something I'm a huge fan of. I like it happens when it happens. Is this about the time that we should expect a trailer for a movie that's coming out next summer? That does sound right, but I guess I haven't looked at it.
I feel like with it being, even if it's a tease, with the Mario anniversary happening, things coming next year, the stuff at Universal Studios has been going well. I feel like it would be good to capitalize on that now. I could be wrong, but
sure, if it doesn't happen here, it could happen separate Nintendo Today app or something like that. But I bet that Universal is like, wait, these Nintendo Directs get how many views? What? Okay, no, it's like in the contract, the trailers have to debut at these Nintendo Directs. I bet that's like something they talk about, or like that the value of this thing that you have in terms of getting eyeballs on it is kind of unquestionably the best way for us to debut these things. So they did it with the trailer for the first movie. I wouldn't be surprised. You're right if they do it now. The Mario anniversary stuff really adds some heat to that fire as well. So I'm not expecting them to have a ton of other Mario things to trade on. Maybe a couple of small things for NSO. Maybe a small game for NSO like Mario 35, something along those lines. I don't know. But the trailer is something like they have to do that eventually, and maybe now is about the time to do that. Metroid Prime 4 will be the big thing, though. You're right. I'm also kind of aching for information about that. Give us that date. The ESRB rating is very encouraging. That happened last week, and we always point out, if you go 6 weeks from that, which is usually when something gets rated by the ESRB, it's coming out in about 6 weeks. That would put it at the end of September, basically. I'm like continuing not to like not believe that it'll be that fast, Britton. I'm like, I'm gonna pump the brakes and be like, that feels like late October, early November. That's me just kind of like not trying to huff all of the hopium. But I do. I mean, look, we're going to be getting information about this game because the ESRB rating is real. So it's not like this is a game that we're like, hey, you should probably just assume it's going to get delayed. Do they treat this like the big game for the holiday, or what? How do you think they handle this?
As much as I want them to, because Metroid is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they've already revealed they're having that Pokemon bundle with the Switch 2, like, and that feels like their big holiday push. I could see Metroid Prime being like a December, like, hey, we know a lot of you are going to get this no matter what. We don't need to get it before Black Friday. It's just going to drop sometime before the end of the year, and you'll get it and be happy. I would like them to do more with it, but just kind of given the history of when they've launched some of these games, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't make a huge push of like, no, this is the big Switch 2 game you need to get this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm still hopeful that they will come out and say, yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is probably coming out early November, late October, and between now and then we could drop 2 and 3 on the Switch eShop, and you can play that, and they're lightly updated, but they're updated enough with those controls that now you could play all of the Metroid Prime games on one system. That would be fantastic. I just don't know if that's going to be the way that they play that anymore, though, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's keep going here. Forza Horizon 6 reportedly set to be revealed at Tokyo Game Show next month. This is from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. After tours across France, England, and Mexico, Forza Horizon 6 is reportedly shifting the series over to Japan for its next slice of car racing. According to several leaks and at least one now deleted Instagram post hinting at it, the next chapter is set to be revealed next month at the Tokyo Game Show. That's according to a prolific leaker, Nate the Hate, and Windows Central has backed up his reporting by claiming that it has seen documentation suggesting Forza Horizon 6 will be shown off officially during the annual gaming event in Tokyo. Earlier this month, an Australian car import company uploaded an Instagram post showing off a Playground Games employee digitally scanning a rare compact Japanese car, adding more fuel to the fire when the post mentioned that it was for a new Forza Horizon game. The Tokyo Game Show takes place September 25th through the 28th, and Microsoft has in the past held dedicated showcases during the event. As a reminder, Microsoft is under a boycott, Xbox specifically, for making money off of the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. All right, Forza Horizon 6 in Japan. I think we had this conversation last week, Britton, about this game where we were looking at this Instagram post and had a person scanning the K car, and it was like, I am going to take this as a likely thing where they could go to Japan, mostly because Japan just feels right at this moment. Now, there was a person who's very closely watches Forza in the chat who was saying, people always expect Japan for the next game from this series, and they always tend to kind of go in a different direction. Like, no one was really expecting Mexico when they announced Mexico. I don't think that's a reason to think they wouldn't go to Japan, but with the K car, with them announcing probably at Tokyo Game Show, it just feeling like the right time. They've also kind of gone to all these other parts of the world. Maybe Japan kind of lines up. Now, we also suggested, maybe it's Southeast Asia or something like in that region, but slightly different. I don't know. I would welcome any of those, but I don't know. I think things are lining up for them to announce that Japan's going to be the setting, and I think that sounds fantastic. Are you a Forza Horizon fan? Is this something that sounds good to you?
Yeah, definitely a Horizon over traditional Forza fan. Give me that arcade racing and the open world. Give me Burnout that isn't Burnout, basically. And yeah, I feel like people always expect Japan thing has merit. At the same time, it has to happen eventually, right? Like,
Right.
people always expected Japan for Assassin's Creed, and then it happened.
Yes.
So like, there's only so many real world locations you can go to, and it does seem like all the stars are aligning in this case to make that the case. I would be all for it. That sounds like a fun twist on things to me. I do like that series a lot. I would enjoy driving around that environment. So yeah, if that's really what's happening, then I'm excited to hop into another Forza game.
Do you think when Forza Horizon 6 launches, it launches simultaneously on Xbox and PlayStation?
That's a great question.
Right. It's tough to nail down for sure, but I don't know. Which way do you lean?
That seems like one of the safer bets for Microsoft to say, yeah, we're going to just do this everywhere at once. It's not like a Halo where it's something you might still want to push as an exclusive thing, even though Microsoft is backing further and further away from exclusives.
Right.
It is more of a mainstream, the same way that like MLB The Show was like hey, yeah, we'll just put this everywhere because everybody likes sports, right? Everybody likes driving. Everybody likes cars. At least that's, the mindset I feel like they would take. Let's put this thing everywhere and get as many sales as we can out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly toothpaste out of the tube in terms of, well, this game's obviously coming to PlayStation at some point. Like that there's just no question there anymore. It is way too successful on PlayStation for them to now say no to that money, and there's no sort of reversing the very heavy ship that is moving them toward multi-platform releases or trying to undo the damage that's been done to the Xbox platform in terms of it being a console and getting people excited about that. So it's going to PlayStation. I kind of like if we start there, it's like, well, why wait? Why wait? Like, what does that really get you at that point? Now, I think maybe you could say the one reason to wait is it didn't actually hurt the sales of Forza Horizon 5 to come to PlayStation significantly later. It is the best-selling PlayStation release of the year, or PlayStation 5 game of the year, apparently, according to everyone who tracks those metrics. So it's like, okay, you can wait and still sell just fine. But maybe if you released it at the same time and had the marketing like lined up and got all that excitement in one go, it sells extremely well on PlayStation. A lot of Game Pass gamers get it on Xbox, and you just make all of the money right in one go. I just when I put it like that, it's like I kind of can't see a reason for them not to do it. Can you do you think that they're still interested in like having like 6 months of exclusivity just to keep Xbox people somewhat happy? I mean, who cares?
I feel like, granted, I own all the systems, but as a Game Pass subscriber, I feel like, hey, if it's on Game Pass, like that's the thing that keeps me happy. Like, because then I'm not going to go buy a copy of it, whether it's on Xbox or a PlayStation. I could see maybe, depending on when this actually comes out, maybe they'd also just want to give the last Horizon game a little more time to breathe on PlayStation. So that might be a reason why you hold back and say like, no, y'all are good for a bit, and then come back in a few months and we'll give you this new one. But no, I don't know if there's good reasons, let's put it that way, to hold it back.
Yep. I think the only reason that they might be like, well, you pointed out two reasons, because that the giving Forza Horizon 5 more room to breathe on there might make sense because the game is selling so well. You don't want to like cut that off too soon. Although it probably could just continue to sell. Like Mexico's different than Japan, maybe, and you could maybe make a point of that or something. I don't know. But this is a team that is used to like putting out a game for Xbox, so maybe they don't have the development pipeline to get it ready for multiple platforms at release. And if that's the case, I wouldn't try to force it on them just to like make this work, because again, you've proven that you can release it later and sell just fine. And maybe you don't want to mess with things. You want to get the game right. So we'll see. I just think, these are the kinds of conversations we have now, and in a year, maybe not even, but maybe at least 2 years or after 2 years, we probably just get to a point where it's like, yeah, of course, it's an Xbox game. It's going everywhere. It's going to be on PlayStation right at release. And we don't even have this conversation anymore. That's coming very soon. All right, we're going to take a break. We got to go talk about our sponsor, MSI. If you want to skip out on these, you can go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. That gets you ad-free versions of this show and all of our other shows. You didn't do that, though, so let's get to the ad. We'll be right back after this. Jan, my computer's sick. I've decided it's time to start building a new one. I just don't know where to start.
Grubb, if your computer is sicky poo, you got to start with MSI, which just dropped something big in its brand new Z890 and B860 Intel motherboards.
Are those the motherboards that unlock the power of the Intel Core Ultra Series 2 CPUs?
Yes, sir. These mobos, as we're calling them on the streets, are powerhouses for gaming, streaming, and whatever intense tasks you need to throw at them.
Okay, but Jan, you know me. I'm scared of tools. That screwdriver's so sharp.
It's okay, bud. MSI made them Geoff-proof and maybe Dan-proof as well, which means they're easy to work with. No more wrestling with tiny little screws or confusing manuals. We're talking easy debug LEDs that tell you exactly what's going on. Toolless installs for your M2 drives and GPUs, or GPUs. We're calling them GPUs too now.
Okay, hell yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. MSI has that modern BIOS as well that looks like it was actually made for humans to use, not some relic from 2003. Give me more of that.
Yes, that's right. It's going to be so easy to get secure boots on the ground. It's like PC building on easy mode, Grubb. And here's the best part. Giant Bombcast listeners, MSI is giving you 10% off these new, regularly priced Z890 and B860 boards. Just head over to us-store.msi.com and use promo code BOMBCAST at checkout. Boom, instant savings.
I'm going to stack that discount. They allow you to do that. And with MSI's got ongoing promotions, that's potentially going to score me up to $120 in Steam codes. It's basically free games just for upgrading. Everyone listening should do the same.
So if you're ready to upgrade your setup, do not wait. Visit us-store.msi.com and use the code BOMBCAST, BOMCAST, all in lowercase, and give your PC the upgrade it deserves.
MSI, making PC building less of a headache and a lot more fun.
Mobo!
We are back for Game Mess Mornings. It's Britton Peele and Geoff Grubb. We're going to get back into the headlines here with the Division 2 Survivors has been announced coming to 2026. But before we do that, real quick, I want to mention that PAX East is this weekend, right? Is that right, Jan?
PAX West is this weekend.
PAX West is... Don't go to Boston. That would be stupid. Go to Seattle for PAX. And if you go there, find the MSI booth. Go say hi to them and tell them Giant Bomb sent you, and you can get entered into a chance to win some of their products. It's going to be worth it, so definitely go make that happen. Go find the MSI booth at PAX West. Tell them Giant Bomb sent you. Okay, let's get into this Division 2 Survivor story, which is not, as chat thought, a story about people who survived the Division 2. Instead, it is a new game coming in 2026. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Ubisoft has announced the Division 2 Survivors. Survivors is described as a survival extraction experience. That's right. Britton, don't put your head down in like frustration with yet another extraction shooter. Let's get excited. It's coming next year. The Division 2 Survivors is as much your baby as it is ours. It's not my baby. And we strive for transparency during its development, said Julian Garrity, executive producer. Clear communication and community involvement are a focus as we build this new experience, and will be closely involving you as we move forward on the development journey. Yeah, I mean, those are really the details here, that it's an extraction survival experience. I'll say that I think that the Division makes some sense for that, because there was definitely some extraction elements in one of the modes in that game. I just don't know if it needs to be spun out into its whole other own thing. Ubisoft has done this a bunch of times now, or attempted to do it a bunch of times now, Britton, and it's never really ever worked out for them, these spin-offs from their more popular games. How are you feeling about the Division 2 Survivors?
Yeah, even if it's not this, it just feels like trend chasing, because you make the point. This kind of fits in universe. Like, it could have been something that naturally came about in development of like, oh, we could do this thing. That'd be fun. But because of the environment we're in, where everything is an extraction shooter, it feels like it's Ubisoft saying, we could do one of those. And I don't have a lot of faith out of the gate that it could go well. I like the Division and the Division 2 just fine. I thought they were enjoyable experiences when I played them. And Ubisoft also can be really good at, this multiplayer focused stuff. Like Rainbow Six Siege was huge for a long time. I mean, maybe still is huge. I don't know. I haven't checked on it in a while. but so it's not to say that like it's impossible that they can make this work, but just it feels like a weird time. I guess is my point.
Yeah, it's weird because they have tried this so many times before, and last year Ubisoft canceled. This is from the story again. Ubisoft canceled The Division Heartland, a free-to-play multiplayer survival action shooter set in a fictional rural can never say that word community in Middle America. So they were making a free-to-play multiplayer survival action shooter. Now they're making what I'm assuming is a free-to-play survival extraction experience. The difference there just being maybe more of an emphasis on extraction. I bet they are taking a lot of what they were doing with Heartland and reworking it here. But that Heartland's just one of these games that they've either attempted to release or did release and it didn't go anywhere. Rainbow Six. What was the Call of Duty like game? I can't even remember the name now. And there's or the Outbreak, the one there, the one where they had the zombies and stuff. There's a whole bunch of these, and it just never seems to have paid off. This is like part of the Ubisoft strategy from the last 10-ish years, where they went from, hey, we have these blueprint games, is what they called them, where, hey, we have a blueprint for making an Assassin's Creed. Quarantine is the name of the Rainbow Six game I was thinking of. We have a blueprint for how to make an Assassin's Creed game or a Far Cry game, and we're just going to do that for each one of those. They went from that to what they called the mothership strategy, which is we have a mothership game, and that's the Division 2, or that is Rainbow Six Siege, and then we're going to have all of these sort of baby ships that come off the mothership, and they're going to be smaller standalone games that are going to succeed because they have this bigger game that they're attached to. And none of those have ever really worked. But that said, extraction is something that, like, I think I first heard that term really from The Division. So I bet that there are people in that community who are going, this isn't us chasing a trend. This is us extrapolating on an idea that has always been in The Division, and now doing it, with full-throatedly and really believing that like this is a series that can take advantage of this. Whether or not it can, I don't know. And it just from the outside, Britton, looking at this, I think at least we are now. I've enjoyed The Division in the past, but I look at it from the outside now. It does still feel like an also ran because there's so many people heading in the same direction. So do you think The Division can do something now to stand out and make this like recapture the excitement that people had for The Division initially?
It's also a weird time for the Division IP specifically, given America right now. So I don't know. I would like to think that they could figure it out. There are very talented developers at Ubisoft's various studios that could do clever things. And you know what? Maybe I'm just bitter because I don't have enough friends to play fun extraction shooters with, or even any just multiplayer focused games with. Let's give them a shot, I guess. I'm not opposed. I'm not saying ban all of these from even being developed. Like, yeah, no. If you have cool ideas, let's try making your thing. But I think I need to see more to believe.
Yeah, I think I'm like when I think about Ubisoft generally, it's like this one of the things I want from them. No, it's not what I want Ubisoft to be doing. Do I know what I want them to be doing? Not necessarily, because they have beefed so many things. I do look at Julian Garrity though, and he did oversee Star Wars Outlaws, and I enjoyed that. I recognize though the reality of they're not going to be able to do a sequel to that, although apparently one was planned at one point, and it's like that. I get that. No more Star Wars Outlaws. That's fine. That one game is going to be a one-time thing. Sure. I don't know if I'm happy that Julian Garrity has sort of had to retreat to making a spinoff of The Division again, something that he had previously worked on, and now he oversees The Division. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't get too excited about that personally. Now, at the same time, I recognize The Division is pretty close to being one of those Ubisoft franchises that is going to be a forever hit. Like, people do like The Division quite a bit. But I don't know. I just overall with Ubisoft, not sure if I'm in a place where I can trust anything that they're putting out. And it bums me out when it feels like they are retreating, because it's just like they're getting so much smaller. And we've seen that with them spin off that new Tencent funded version of Ubisoft that's just going to focus on, I believe, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and one other franchise. Maybe Rainbow Six, I think. It's like, okay. So that's what's happening over there, and then these people being left over here are going to work on these kinds of games, like a small Division spinoff that feels like it's could have been a mode in the previous Division games. I'm just continue to be when I look at Ubisoft, it feels like looking at a car crash. Do you feel like this is anything that we can read into, like where Ubisoft is at right now, or does this feel like business as usual from this publisher?
I think given recent years, it is more business as usual than maybe some of us would even like to admit. Now, they haven't also stopped doing things I think are interesting. I was playing some the Rogue Prince of Persia the other day,
Yep.
and like that's a cool, neat little thing. And I would like more of those neat little things, even from, if we take the mothership idea and make like, here's a smaller Prince of Persia, here's a smaller Assassin's Creed, whatever. I think what I want is a little bit more weird. I was, as part of the move, I was unpacking a bunch of like 3DS games. I unpacked that Ghost Recon like turn-based strategy game that launched with the 3DS, and just remembering how phenomenal that was, even though like it, you wouldn't have expected it necessarily. Now, if you read that like one of the XCOM people was making it and that sort of thing, maybe you would know it was gonna be cool, but at the time, it felt like it came out of nowhere, and it just had the Ghost Recon name on it. That's more what I would like to see in terms of like Ubisoft getting back to maybe where they were, is like trying a lot more little stuff that is a bit more risky, and not stuff that is, well, we could do another online thing, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, there's a reason I'm not on the business side of this industry, so I could be, completely misguided in that.
Yeah, and people point out Ubisoft game was our game of the year last year here at Giant Bomb for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. But it's like, yeah, that's another example of the concern here, is that team basically got disbanded after they made that game. And it did win some Game of the Years and things like that. And they went into work on Assassin's Creed and other stuff like that. So yeah, I just, even when you make something that people love, Ubisoft's not quite happy with it. It's going to kind of crash and burn, and they won't follow up on it unless it's one of these 3 core franchises. All right, let's keep moving here. Skate early access release date is going to get announced this week. This is from the Skate account on Twitter. We're stoked to reveal the official Skate cover art. Come back on Tuesday, August 26th. So that is tomorrow. We're giving you the early access release date. See ya then. This game has been in closed testing for a long time. They've kind of built it alongside that community. They are getting ready to launch this thing as an early access game. As a reminder, it's going to be free to play. What are your expectations for the new and 4th Skate game?
I hate saying this, but I'm less excited than I was before Tony Hawk came out, just because that kind of fulfilled that need for me of like, I really wanted to skate around a bunch, and now I've done that. And so part of me is like, maybe I'm good. I know skate has traditionally been a pretty different thing. So hopefully, there's still plenty of room here, and I do think there is room here. People have been clamoring for a new skate for a long time, but for me personally, I wish I was a little more excited than I was when this game was first announced. So it's a bit of a bummer that it has taken this long to get to this point.
Yep. When I kind of look at skate right now, it's still like, okay, I like the general idea, but now they're at a point where they have to execute. And as a reminder, the general idea is they have a world with like different, a city with different neighborhoods, and you can go in there, and there's missions, I'm sure. But one of the big ideas is go online, connect with your friends, and hang out in sessions for like a couple hours at a time, where you can kind of take turns doing tricks, and then someone else could take turns building up a course or adding elements to existing things in the world. And then now you're like, okay, now let's try this, now that we've built that thing. And I like that, but yeah, it's now down to execution. And I think the word getting out of the testing early access period, the closed one, was like, yeah, I mean, it's not quite there yet. But they're going to launch this thing in a public early access, and that should give them a chance to like really bring things together. they are going to have to like have a spark there at the beginning, right? Because they are going to get compared to Tony Hawk, and as you pointed out, very different games. But I still think people are going to be like, they're not going to have a ton of patience, I don't think, for this one. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, EA, sure, you have time to figure this out, baby girl. You take your time. It's going to be a situation where it's like, if there isn't that spark of something very special right away, I think this game's going to get sort of junked all over. Does that sound right to you?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're on the mark there. I do think that skating can make for that good, like, oh, just hang out with your friends experiment, or like experience, or good, have podcast on in the background while I play this thing.
Mhm.
There's room there for this to fill that sort of gap. But yeah, unless you already have friends doing that who are going to say, "Hey, hop on skate for a bit and like let's catch up and talk about our weeks." What's going to draw people there
Right.
in the first place? So yeah, if they can hook people, I think they might have a shot. But yeah, what is that hook in a world where Tony Hawk just came out and this has been kind of this was announced. It feels like a long time ago at this point.
Yes, it was.
Just because of
like
how fast everything's moving.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, and they announced it
Yes.
before they even like started the studio. Really, it was the two people like, we're going to start a studio to make this game. So hence 4 or 5 years later, and now we're just getting the early access release.
Yeah. Now they did have that trailer. I forget at what event it was, but that had like a good vibe to it of like, oh, the tone here, like a little comedic. This seems right for what they need skate to be. So maybe there's a lot of that. Maybe there's just a lot of personality, and the world feels alive in ways that make me, I want to go hang out here for a bit.
Right.
But I could see, I'm definitely not writing off skate. I think it could work. My fingers are crossed for that studio, I guess, because I know this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, and I think in terms of things that are working in its favor, skateboarding's never been more popular globally. It is massive in Brazil. It's massive in Japan. It's growing all across the world. Kids are getting into it, and these are kids that do not necessarily have an affinity even for Tony Hawk as a person. Now, I know that's extreme. Many of them do have an affinity for Tony Hawk. He is godfather of skateboarding. They all recognize him as such. But not as much as a generation where it's just like that was the skateboarder. Like that's it's very different from that. And I think that creates an opportunity, especially for a free-to-play game. A free-to-play game that can appeal to places where people aren't necessarily buying $60, $70, $80 console games. So I think Skate has a chance. And maybe what we find out is we come back here, do a show together 2 years from now, Britton, and we get a story about, oh, Skate is massive, just not maybe in the United States. Maybe it's just big everywhere else. I could see that happening.
Yeah, or maybe we're doing the show from within Skate because this is all that exists anymore. Yeah,
very likely.
Totally. The doors are wide open, and yeah, we are maybe in a world where more young people recognize Tony Hawk from Twitter and from people not recognizing Tony Hawk than they do from like actually watching him do skateboard tricks.
Yeah, I mean, he's a meme
maybe the
to them.
right.
Like he's kind of like a prequel meme in a lot of ways. These kids, like he's kind of in that same zone. So yeah, and that again, that's fine. And the game does feature a lot of those globally popular skateboarders, Nigel Houston, and a lot of the kids that are 12-year-olds doing 900s from Japan and stuff like that. And so if you want to go see them in a game, like that is still Tony Hawk. But I still think, free to play, available everywhere, a hangout game. Maybe that's more in line with where the current skate culture's at, and maybe Skate can take advantage of it. We'll see. Yooka-Replaylee appears to be getting a proper physical release for Switch 2. This is from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. This might be some good news for the collectors out there. Yooka-Replaylee is due out on Switch 2 this year, and it appears it will be getting a proper physical release on Nintendo's new hybrid platform. A new listing has recently popped up on the Canadian website Video Games Plus, and according to the description, the full game is on the card. Once again, this title is being distributed with the help of PM Studios, so I think they're doing the physical release. Along with this, a new teaser trailer has also been released via IGN's Gamescom showcase, with developer Playtonic's game announcing its next major update about Yooka-Replaylee will be taking place during the Mix Fall Showcase on the 29th of August, so later this week. In an update earlier this month, PM Studios mentioned how Yooka-Replaylee was now content complete with a release date announcement coming soon. There were some other details about this of like, oh, the game, like the pricing for it was like $50 or something like that. Maybe that might be placeholder. I'm not sure if that's accurate. But people were like trying to be able to figure it out. It's like, if that's accurate and this game is coming out on the card, it'll likely still be using one of those 64 gigabyte cards, which are expensive. And yet the price, this would be the lowest price we've seen for one of these games that uses the card, the 64 gigabyte card, and puts the entire game on there. So it's like, there was another game that was like, hey, we're going to get a physical release on everything, and the full game will be on even on the card on the Switch too, but we're going to have to charge $10 more. I think it's the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection that is doing that. It's like, it's got to be $10 more because those 64 gigabyte cards are more expensive. Well, Yooka-Replaylee seems to be bucking that trend a little bit. Do you think like this is like the direction a lot of games like this are going to go? The games that maybe are the sort of thing that caters to people who collect video games, or is it going to be sort of a crapshoot where it's like every once in a while we'll get one of these publishers that recognizes how important this is?
I think it'll be a mix of both. I think there has been one of those like physical companies. It might have been Limited Run that has said like, oh yeah, any Switch 2 game we do is going to be on the card because we know you don't care about that. And there's still going to be cases, and this was the case on the original Switch as well, where it's going to be different in different territories as well. Like I just imported a copy of Fantasy Life from Japan because it's the only physical copy that exists, but the whole game is on the card for the Switch 2. So I think you will see pockets of that, and it is a bummer to me that it's news. They're like, hey, this game that maybe you wouldn't be talking about otherwise it's a news story because you get the whole thing in the box when you buy it. But also, I'm a broken man, and that made me go, maybe I do actually want to play the remake of Yooka-Laylee because I want more reasons to play my Switch 2. I want a bigger physical Switch 2 collection, and it makes sense in this context. So yeah, it might have genuinely sold me on the game just by having that on the card. Now, obviously, there's the stuff that you've talked about before about space and whatnot. So it is going to be interesting if this is the same 64 gig card, and I can't imagine they're like taking a loss on it, but I do wonder what the margins look like, because at least maybe they're placeholder prices, but it looks like it was priced the same way on Switch 2 and like PS5. So it'll be interesting to see how this stuff shakes out.
Yeah, I think that for games like this, it might be enough to like just sort of convince Nintendo to rush the completion and the availability of smaller cards for developers, because it doesn't matter how big Yooka-Replaylee is, it's not 64 gigabytes in terms of size. But that's the only card that is available if you want to put a game on there and not force a download on someone. Which, really it's game key cards and then the 64 gigabyte card and then a code in the box. Those are your options, I think, still. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe this is the first one that's going to be on a 16 gigabyte card, and that's why it can be cost less. We just haven't heard that, and it seems unlikely that this would be the first game to sort of break that out. So, yeah, we'll see. I just think for every little news story about this, it all seems to be moving in the direction of, yeah, sure, Nintendo, a lot of people are digital. A lot of people don't care about this, but this is a mental thing for many people. And for collectors, it is a tangible, real thing that they do not like. There was a organization in Japan that like collects games for posterity. And they're like, we're not taking game key cards. That doesn't make any sense. No, we're not going to be keeping those in our collection. And it's like, I think at a certain point, Nintendo would be like, yeah, we want things to go in one way, but we have to recognize the reality on the ground. And stories like this sort of reiterate what the reality on the ground is, and that is people want the game on the card. If they're going to be buying the card, they want it on the card. And I just think that even as someone who plays digitally, that makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, as of right now, I have one game key card, and that's Yakuza 0. And I kind of bought it because like I had money at Best Buy, and it was on the shelf, and I wanted to play it, so I got it. They're not as bad as they could have been. I think there's also some almost fear mongering of like these are the worst things that's ever existed. Like it's honestly they're a lot like a lot of PS5 discs are.
Right. Yes.
But it does still suck if you are a collector, and I collect enough that I want a physical copy of games I love. Like I would love a physical on the card Switch 2 copy of Blueprints. I want a copy of Clear Obscure. If the assuming those games come to Switch, which I'm hoping they do. I've played those on other systems already, but I loved them. Those are my 2 favorite games of the year so far, and I want to display them on my. I have a thing for displaying things on shelves. So I would really like to do that with the games I love too, and it's a lot easier if I know in 10 years I can pop that card into a system and play it again. And I think there are publishers that are waking up to that and realizing that. Whether or not they want to make the push or spend the money in some cases to appease the people like me is another question. And sometimes maybe it's just genuinely not financially viable. But it's definitely a thing that it's not a situation that's going away. Like this has been such a big talking point since the Switch launched.
Yep. I think it's going to be a thing that Nintendo will have to just sort of like concede a little bit on and just offer up some other options to developers so that it's more likely that a game will be on the card than not in like a year or so. We'll see. Last couple of stories here. I'll hit this one real quick. Digital Foundry, there was a lot of complaining about Elden Ring. People were getting their hands on with that at Gamescom. And that was the focus of like, hey, Switch 2, Elden Ring gameplay. It's really bad in handheld mode. There was not all bad news for the Switch 2 out of that show. People did play Final Fantasy VII Remake and pointed out it's awesome. Digital Foundry said it might be the best looking thing I've seen on Switch 2. The graphic fidelity, according to John Linneman, shouts out to John. He said he's guessing. He hasn't had a chance to do a side-by-side comparison. They have not provided that footage for him to do that. But he's guessing that by looking at it, it's somewhere between PS4 and PS5, which is where you want games on the Switch 2 to land right now. So it's going to be case by case basis with these games, right? Right, Britton, where it's like one game, it could run really well, and the next one could have a lot of issues. Might depend on the developer, might depend on the engine, might depend on a million factors. But this is possible as well as what's happening with Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I've been seeing people on various Reddits and so on just saying like, oh yeah, it's a FromSoft thing. It's a Bandai Namco thing. Like they can't optimize their games. So I think it is going to be studio by studio. Like you think like to the original Switch with the Doom games, like we're kind of like miraculously on there just because there's people at id Software that are really, really good at optimizing their engines and for whatever piece of hardware you've got. So we're going to get stuff like that. I, as a Final Fantasy fan, am very happy to hear that this one is running well. I really, even though I didn't love the original 7 as much as some people do, I'm really loving the remake games. So yeah, I would love another excuse to play that. And so it's great to hear that it runs well, because I also wanted a good excuse to replay Elden Ring, and now I'm worried that this isn't going to be that excuse. So it matters what they can optimize. It's
frustrating too, because Elden Ring runs just fine on a Steam Deck. Maybe not just fine, might be pushing it, but it runs better than what the reports of the Switch 2 version have been. And it's like there's no excuse for that. The game should be fine, but yeah, we'll see. Last story, Geoff Keighley's opening night live 2025 reached 72 million live stream views. So whenever you wonder why the shows are the way that they are and like how can he charge so much money for a minute of airtime? Well, that's it. That's a lot of eyeballs. It's not as big as Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards. I think the Game Awards is over 100 million these days. I think Summer Game Fest, the last one, was close to that. If not, it was, I think, north of 90 million live stream views, but 72 million is still massive. That's why he can command the prices he commands. I guess, with that in mind, my question to you, Britton, before we move on to the wrapping up the poll question and all that stuff would be, do you think for the amount of attention that these things get, that the shows are serving the purpose that they should serve? Are they good shows for like helping people sell video games, I guess?
If you'd asked me before the most recent one, I would have said, yeah, sure. I wasn't as excited about opening Night Live as maybe some of the other shows, but I think plenty of these shows, they're entertaining.
Yeah.
I think they maybe don't fit the original mission of, or at least like the Game Awards doesn't always fit the same original mission of, it's like the Oscars, but for us, because it's so much of that salesy stuff. But if you look at it from that lens of like, no, this is going to be a show that's just entertaining. We're going to sell you stuff, but it's going to be stuff that you're interested in and that you'll enjoy. I think largely speaking, they do a pretty good job of that. They bring in good co-hosts like Lucy James. They'll, push that even further. So it makes sense. That's still a lot of money. I think maybe we need to boost the Giant Bomb Game of the Year numbers up so we can,
that's where the real shit happens. That's the real Game of the Year. We always say trademark.
Yeah, but I mean, good on Keighley for building the empire. I mean, I don't cover those shows for work because my job has changed in recent years, and I still tune in to watch them. So yeah, I think mission accomplished in that sense.
All right, let's get to the poll question. This is from last week. Let me go ahead and refresh real quick. Let's get the most recent results. Where do you want to go in the next Forza Horizon? We did give people a choice between Japan, Southeast Asia, or anywhere else. I think we said somewhere else, but just anywhere else. And anywhere else got 17%. Southeast Asia got 18%. The vast majority of respondents, 2/3 actually, said they want to go to Japan next. Japan's always a popular answer for one of these. But Britton, I just continue to think, that just makes sense at this point. They've been to England and Colorado, and they've been to Mexico, and I think they did Australia once, and something else. They've not been to the Far East yet. So this makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, just in terms of having diversity of environments, I think it makes sense to go somewhere that's not America. Again, like I live in Texas. For a long time, I was like, set GTA in Texas, bring everything here.
New poll question. We'll get to that here in a second. Before we, I think we might be losing someone. Is we still are we good? Are we back? I can't tell. Jan, you tell me. Are we? Can you guys? Hear me
we lost you for a second.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, I am back, I believe. The connection here on Discord says it's all golden. So, all right, well, let's wrap up with or actually, you know what? Let's do the thing. Britton, why don't you tell people where they could find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Yeah, these days I'm mostly just at BrittonPeele.com on Blue Sky. That's where I'm spending most of my social media time. I have accounts elsewhere. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to. I don't post there much. I also, the rare occasion I write, most recently I wrote for the Chicago Sun-Times covering the Switch 2 launch. That is where I am employed full-time, is with Chicago Public Media. So that's Chicago Sun-Times and WBEZ. That is public radio and public media, who are hurting a little bit lately for, political reasons. So if you
no good reason
my
whatsoever.
plea is if you have local radio or local media near you that's independent and that you rely on for anything, entertainment, news, whatever, maybe throw them a few bucks, because I think in Chicago, like we're dedicated to fighting the good fight. We're going to be around, but some of the more rural areas are hurting. So check them out. But I live in Texas, so if you're in the Dallas area, maybe you'll see me around somewhere there.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. I listen to NPR every day of my life, and I support it. Everyone else should as well. Thank you, Britton. Okay, let's see here. New poll question. Which ninja game are you going to play? Shinobi Art of Vengeance, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, or Ninja Gaiden 4? We also have an all of them option. You can vote. We'll get the results. We'll talk about it on Game Mess Mornings here on Giant Bomb on Wednesday. On Tuesday, we have the Bombcast. Later today, it's Mitch Owns Mondays. We're going to have Monday Morning Mist with Mitch. That's going to be happening here in a little bit. We're going to continue Riven. I believe that's happening at 2 p.m. Eastern. Let me double check that. Yep, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's 11 a.m. Pacific. And then later tonight, it's Mega Man Monday Evening Gaming at Mike's at night. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And he'll be soloing something. I don't know. Maybe I'll hop in there and join him. But he's got something happening. So, yep. All right. That's us for today and tomorrow. Beyond that, we're going to be here all week. Everyone should tune in. It's going to be a good one. No matter what happens, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Britton, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This is always a highlight for me. Love doing it. Happy to be back whenever.
Yeah, we'll have you back anytime. Just let us know whenever you're available. We'd love to get you back on. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and thank you for listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.